Hey, welcome to day 12 of this self-sufficiency series. And today's topic is going to be what I call optimized human health. Okay, optimized human health. And first of all, I'm not an expert. I'm not a health professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm none of those things, except for somebody who has studied human health to a pretty decent degree. Now, the things I'm going to talk about today are not really controversial. Most people agree that the things that I'm going to discuss are, yeah, those are good for you. There's a couple that are maybe up for discussion that a lot of people would say, well, we don't have the data, we don't have the randomized, controlled trials, double placebo, blah, 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 whatever. That's fine. So I'm mainly just going to stick to a very generalized, basic talk about optimized human health. First, I want to show you this really cool little spot here. You see this right there? It's a spring. It's really a seasonal seep more than a spring because it does not flow year-round. But it is really cool. Okay, back to optimized human health. And there's an assumption that I want to discuss first. And then I'm going to take you on a walk because I'm going to practice what I preach. And that assumption is that we have a system in the United States that I like to think of in this way. It's divided on two sides. You have healthcare and you have sick care. All right? Sick care is our Western medical system. Okay, when you go to the doctor, when you have your insurance, when you go to the ER, you go to acute care, etc., etc. That is all sick care. Okay, on the other side, optimized human health, when we're looking at things like movement, the way we eat, how we relax, do we have our stress under control, sleep, all those kinds of things. To me, that is healthcare. Okay, even though that it's all labeled the way it is, but to me, what our system is sick care. Now, don't get me wrong. Western medicine is the absolute best in the world at certain things. They are the best in the world at trauma care. They are the best in the world at when people are banged up, when they're really sick, they're dying. They're very good at what they do. Okay, so if you get COVID and you start having respiratory problems, you want to go into our Western medical system because they are very good at that type of emergent care. However, make no mistake, that's sick care. When we go to the doctor, when we have disease, when we are significantly sick, we go there. We're sick. That's sick care. Okay. On the other side is building health and working on movement, our physical health, the way we eat, the rest, the relaxation. We might throw in things like intermittent fasting, all that kind of stuff. That's, to me, is healthcare. We're building health. We're trying to maintain and or build health, build our immune system, that kind of things. Okay, okay, that's the one assumption. The second one is that the Western tradition, and this includes a lot of natural practitioners as well, tend to be on a this for that model. Okay, so you have a symptom, and it's like, well, what can I take for that? Okay, I have this, what do I take for that? Right, so it's like, oh, I have this fever, I'm going to take ibuprofen to bring the fever down, etc., even though that's our body's natural system at trying to fight off infection. Okay, and like I said, even in the natural world in some places, again, it's like, instead of taking a pharmaceutical medication, they're like, what herb can I take for this? Okay, it's the same approach. It's a symptomatic approach, and I think it's the wrong approach. That's not optimized human health. Optimized human health is looking at, okay, what is the cause? What is the ultimate cause? What is the primary, the actual problem? And that's what you need to address. Yes, sometimes we do need to address symptoms, and that's fine, but we want to be able to also address the fundamental cause, and a lot of that is the basics. Okay, again, movement, the way we eat, our relaxation and sleep, and those types of things. Okay, I'm going to take you on a little walk here, because the first one is movement. Okay, movement, right? And when we look at optimized human health, you can look at, there's so many experts out there that talk about this kind of stuff on movement. What type of exercise should we be doing? Should we doing, the hitting CrossFit gyms, or doing high intensity interval training, short intense workouts, or should we be doing long workouts? Should we be training for marathons? Should we be doing strength training versus cardio, and blah, 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 on and on and on. Okay, bottom line is we need to move. And here's a good way to think about this. When you think about the blue zones, okay, the blue zones are places where people live a long time. Okay, we lived in Okinawa, Japan, and that is literally the pinnacle blue zone. They have the most centurions, most people over 100. Excuse me for a minute. Got a little trail work to do in that island nation. Okay, well, it's Japan, but you talk to some of the Okinawans, they wouldn't tell you that. But movement. So these blue zones, these are people who are active, very, very active. I'm not talking about CrossFit gyms and all that kind of stuff. These are people that have just been active their whole lives. They spend many hours a day moving, whether that's walking, whether that's gardening, whether that's going to the market, right? I mean, it is very common to see people in their 80s, 90s walking down the road to the market. Okay. Now, is there anything wrong with CrossFit gyms and hits and all that kind of stuff? No, not at all. In fact, there's a lot of solid evidence to say that those things are great. So in my opinion, it depends on what you're capable of, what you like to do, and you should do that. And so, like, in the ideal, you would do some type of shorter, intense physical activity and lots of low-level activity. Okay, to me, that seems like a good approach. You're doing a few high-intensity workouts for all those benefits, and then you're having a lot of low-level activity. Now, not everybody's going to have the same capabilities. So a lot of people might have underlying medical conditions, and so I say to that, you do what you can to get in the best possible position that you can, because if we're not healthy, we're not going to be self-sufficient. Okay, and that includes for movement. Okay, so for movement, you do the best you can. And if you do have underlying medical conditions, you couldn't possibly do CrossFit workouts or anything like that, well, then do what you can. Okay, if that's some low-level activity, that's great. That's great, right? I go back to the Okinawans. They're not doing hits. Okay, they're not going to CrossFit gyms and things like that. Okay, so that's movement. All right, the second one is, and here's an acronym, MERS, M-E-R-S. Okay, I actually like MERS, MIGS, and I'll finish that up. So the E, eating. Eating. We need to eat better. Here we are in this global pandemic, and we've got this opportunity. A lot of people are spending a lot more time at home, and you have the chance to actually improve your health. However, I think a lot of people are probably not taking advantage of it. Okay, so for example, you hear a lot of people saying, support local businesses, go out, get that takeout, go to those restaurants, those curbside pickups, all that good stuff. Okay, I'm just gonna stop here. I'm at the edge of my pasture. I am sympathetic to that because I'm a businessman, and so I understand that these small businesses are hurting. But I would not recommend that to you, okay? Instead, what I would say is that, learn a skill, learn to cook from basic ingredients yourself, not throwing in, frozen burritos in the microwave, but use this as an opportunity to get good at cooking with real basic ingredients, okay? Real food. All right, that's all I'm gonna say on that. But as far as eating, we need to eat better. And I think, it's intuitive. I say this and then my wife reminds me, like, I don't think so. That everyone knows what healthy is, but I'm actually not convinced of that anymore. But if we think of it like this, what diet should I follow? Should it be paleo? Should it be keto? Should I follow the Weston A. Price tradition? Whatever, fill in the blank. That's for you to figure out, really. But the bottom line is that we need to eat healthier. I think eating real food, like real food, is a good start. Okay, real ingredients, vegetables, fruits, meats, nuts, seeds, healthy fats. That's a good place to start, right? And if you want to argue over, the percentage of carbs and all this kind of stuff, that's fine. But we need to eat healthier. We need to do less takeout, less curbside, less eating at restaurants where we're getting meals that are, twice the size of what we should be eating. Okay? And eat real food. And then with that, not only what we eat, but when we eat. And I'm going to go into this a little bit, but I'm a huge fan of intermittent fasting, and almost everyone, not everyone, but almost everyone could benefit from intermittent fasting to some degree. And you need to look into that to see if it's right for you. And if you have a health professional that you trust, that I would talk to them about this kind of stuff first and say, what do you think about me doing this? But do your own research as well, because a lot of people are just going based off of what they were taught, and they haven't even looked at it from multiple angles for themselves. And I really recommend that you do that. Okay, so eating well, eating real food, and then focusing on when you eat as well. Okay, the R for MERS, MERS. R is relaxation, okay, or you can think of this as a stress reduction, okay, reduction of stress. Okay, R, relax. This is huge. This is much that we know now. We've done enough studies on this, although intuitively people knew this all along, that stress kills, right? Stress increases cortisol, it increases, heart issues, and much more. Okay, so you need to figure out what works for you to relax, right? That could be meditation, that could be visualization, that could be breath work, it could be spending time reading and praying. That could mean whatever it means for you that gets you to relax. Here's another part of that. You need to starve yourself of certain things. What things stress you out? Well, why do you keep doing those things? Okay. What things do you read that stress you out? Why do you keep reading them? Okay. If after you have scrolled Facebook for an hour, stop and acknowledge, how do you feel after that? How do you get on social media for whatever time, and how do you feel when you're done with that? When you finally stop and put it down, put your phone down or your computer down or whatever, stop and go, how do I feel? I think most people go like, stress the hell out. Well, guess what? Maybe start starving yourself of that. Or if you have a tendency to engage, for example, in the social media nightmare, then don't do it. Stick to the positive. Stick to the things that don't stress you out. Okay? So you have to figure out what those things are and then pull yourself back from them. Here's another tip. Focus on what you can control and don't focus on what you can't control. Okay? Are you going to control the craziness that is happening across the world? Are you going to control what state and federal governments are going to do in this situation and what they're going to justify and all that? You're not. Okay? And I'm not saying don't voice your concerns or in a manner, but if you're constantly engaged in that, that's a problem. You're not relaxed. You're stressed out. I guarantee it all the time. Okay, so relax. Pull back from what you need to pull back from. Focus on your sphere of influence. Focus on what you can control. Don't focus on what you can't control. Let go of that. Turn the news off. Turn the social media off if that's what you need to do. And do things like watch YouTube videos like this video, like hit like and subscribe. And I've got 100+ other videos on homesteading and generalized preparedness and how to make this or do that. And, you know, watch a video and then go try it. You know, better yet, go do it. So watch something, learn something, and then go try it. Okay? All right. So that's MERS or MER, right? So we have movement, we have eating, we have relaxation, and then the S is for sleep. I think this is one of the most underrated aspects of optimized human health. Okay, we don't sleep well. We don't get good sleep or we don't get enough sleep. And you know, and if each person, again, I hate to say this, but you got to figure out what's working for you and what's not working for you, and you know, determine how you can improve your sleep. You should be working on your sleep. How can I improve my sleep? So I'll tell you 2 things that I know for a fact impact my sleep, and therefore I have done a couple things to try and mitigate that. The first one is caffeine, right? If you drink a lot of caffeine, then you're gonna have problems sleeping. And I have coffee. I have coffee every day. Okay, but I have basically a general rule of thumb. I drink 0 caffeine after 11 a.m. Okay, 0 caffeine after 11 a.m. Caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours. Okay, I don't know what it is exactly, but it's right around 6 hours. Okay, meaning that caffeine is still in your system. Even if you have drink a cup of coffee, you know, 6 hours later, you still have some caffeine that is impacting you. All right, so if you stop at whatever time you determine, then it'll be, you know, the vast majority of it will be out of you when it's time for you to go to sleep at night. That's helped me immensely. It really has, because I occasionally struggle with sleep, and now it's rare. It still happens once in a while, but it's rare. Okay, the other thing is this, you know, alcohol. Alcohol impacts sleep. You know, I think it's a myth that you know, alcohol's gonna knock you out, it'll put you to sleep. It puts you to sleep, but you don't get good sleep. Okay, it is true, like if you drink a bunch of alcohol, you might pass out, but you're not gonna get good sleep. You know, how do you feel the next day? And again, even if you only had 2 or 3 drinks, and maybe that's something that puts you to sleep pretty quick, but do you really feel rested the next day? No, I don't think so. Okay, so for me, if I do drink, it's going to be like 1. Okay, and it's going to be earlier. I don't do it later at night. Okay, for the most part. Okay, there are exceptions to that rule. Okay, but for the most part, it's like if I have one, it's 1, and it's earlier in the night, so there's a couple hours at least past when I have that beer or glass of wine before I go to sleep. Okay, so those are 2 things for me that impact my sleep. Okay, there's probably many others, right? There's many others, but those are kind of ones for me. So that's to me, optimized human health. Okay, movement, eating, relaxation, sleep. Okay, and there are some other things here. I'm going to just mention them super briefly because I don't think they're controversial, but you know, a lot of people will be saying, oh, again, show me the double-blind, placebo-controlled trials and meta-analysis, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Research these things for yourself. Okay, first thing, intermittent fasting. I already brought it up. I don't think there's any question about its efficacy or benefit to a person. So look into it for yourself. And again, if you need to consult with a healthcare professional that you trust, then do it. Okay, so that's one. I'm just going to mention that. You need to research it for yourself. It's something that we have been doing in my family for like 2 years. Okay, huge difference for us. Helps a lot with weight control, blood sugar control, clarity of mind, all that. Weight control, I don't know if I said that or not, but it certainly does help those things. Okay, and it also, as I mentioned in an earlier video, it strengthens the mind as well. Because at first, it's kind of tough to go 16 or 18 hours without food. And after a while, you get used to it, and then you just get used to it, and then all of a sudden, 24-hour fasts are not too bad. Okay, you start getting longer than that, and it does get tougher. And for me, it doesn't get so easy when I get past 48 hours. Okay, but you don't even have to do that. Regular intermittent fasting of say 16 hours a day has shown great benefits. Okay, so look into it. Okay, here's another one. Some type of green drink every day. Okay, it could be greens, it could be microgreens, it could be a smoothie, it could be juicing, blah blah blah, or just eating a bunch of greens every day, I think is a good idea. And I'd like someone to tell me like, that's unhealthy. I don't think anybody's going to say that. Whether it's going to be super effective for you or not, I don't know. But I mean, I think it's a good practice. I'll put it that way. Okay, and then I'll add one more, and that is heat and cold exposure. Okay, heat and cold exposure. And again, there's a lot of evidence on this too. If you need evidence, if you're a person who needs evidence, there's a lot of evidence. Look up sauna and cold exposure. Okay, so a lot of people jump into a sauna and then they'll jump into a cold shower, or as the Finns would do, and they're from literally 1,000 years ago, they would get into their saunas and then jump into like freezing lakes and things like that. Okay, so those are some things that you can research for yourself to find out if they would be effective for you. But the bottom line is this: if we don't pay attention to our health, our physical health, okay, not even to mention our mental and emotional health, but that whole relaxation piece impacts those greatly. Okay, but if we aren't healthy, if we don't optimize our health, how are we going to be self-sufficient? Okay, it's going to be hard to do. Now, but I have this underlying medical condition, so I can't do some of those things. But do what you can. Okay, do what you can, and get as healthy as you can be. Okay, for yourself, for your condition. Just like we talked about with movement. Not everybody's going to be able to do intense physical activity. They might just be able to do low-level activity, and that's fine. Okay, and if we're not taking care of ourselves in that way, we're not going to be able to thrive during hard times. Okay, because there's only so much that you can relax and de-stress and all that kind of stuff using the stuff I'm talking about, whether it's meditation or visualization or just breath work, or avoidance of certain things. Right now we're in a pretty stressful time. People are losing jobs and all that. You've got to be able to see the good in all situations, to see the silver lining, if you will, of every situation. There's always an opportunity in every situation. Maybe you're going to be financially worse off, but you're physically healthier. Is that such a bad thing? Or you lost your job, but now you're closer with your family. Is that a bad thing? No, it's not. Okay, so you can focus on the things that you can control, and don't worry about the things that you can't control. All right, I'm going to end it there because I've been rambling for way too long. But real quick again, MERS, right? Movement, eating, relaxation, sleep, and then I talked about the other thing, intermittent fasting, the greens and sauna or cold immersion. Okay, so there you go. Optimized human health for the win and for self-sufficiency.